Hey guys, it's Shelby. I'm super excited because Wild Ideas Worth Living was nominated for a Webby Award. This is a big deal. We'd love it if you could vote for us. There's a link in the show notes. You can vote through April 16th. Thank you for listening and thank you for your support.
We were forced to be in continuous, uncomfortable circumstances and figure out solutions, which is why there was so much family healing that happened, because we didn't do that before. We were just in the same scenarios again and again and again. And now here we are, we're in a foreign land. We have no idea what we're doing. We don't speak good Spanish. There was just one situation after another that we had to figure out a solution and come together and be a family.
A few months ago, our team got a pitch from writer, yoga teacher, and entrepreneur Lauren Duke, and it really made an impression on us. Lauren holds a master's degree in psychology with an emphasis in physiology and body-based behavior. She spent her career thinking about how physical movement can help us process our emotions. In 2023, Lauren turned that curiosity into a very personal experiment. She invited her family on a 535-mile trek across the Camino de Santiago in Spain. Relationships with family members can be complicated, and Lauren's family is no exception. She planned to do this trip with her two siblings, one of whom she'd previously been estranged from for over a decade. They also invited their mother, who Lauren described as an out-of-shape, struggling alcoholic. For some people, spending a month hiking across Spain with their parents and adult siblings doesn't sound like a party. On the trail, there's nowhere to hide from intense family dynamics. The only option is to keep moving forward together. But that's why Lauren thought this walk might be the thing her family needed to finally work through decades of baggage. I'm Shelby Stanger, and this is Wild Ideas Worth Living, an REI Co-op Studios production presented by Capital One and the REI Co-op MasterCard. Lauren Duke, welcome to Wild Ideas Worth Living. 535 miles in another country, the Camino de Santiago. Why? How?
Yeah.
Tell me all about this.
Okay. So I had been working on my master's thesis. I'd been in grad school for 2 years. I had 2 frozen shoulders. So I went to go see my massage therapist. And, she says to me, you don't need a massage. You need to get off the computer and you need to go for a walk, right? What she really meant was go walk down the block, right? But what I did was I was right in that moment, literally, it was like a full body somatic experience where I just knew in that moment, I am doing the Camino de Santiago. And I'm going to take my family. When I was young, when I was a teenager, my mom was a barber and she had a woman sitting in her chair. She was giving a perm and the woman had just come back from the Camino de Santiago and she was using adjectives, just words my mom in her survival mode brain had never heard, spiritual, magical, transformative. And my mom was single mom, 3 kids, 2 baby daddy in prison. And she had never heard of the Camino de Santiago. She had never even used words spiritual, magical, transformative. And the woman is telling her about this kind of pilgrimage that she'd went on. And my mom was like, well, I want to go do that. And for her, it wasn't for pilgrimage reasons. It wasn't about the long distance walking. It was literally just to exit her life and the suffering that she was experiencing. But I remember as a kid, she told us about it. And it was there was always a little nugget in the back of my mind, I want to do that. So then when it came to that moment on the massage bed, I was like, all right, this is something that was my mother's dream and I'm 40 years old and I'm going to go do this dream.
But then your mom came with you. How did that happen?
I wasn't sure that she was going to come. But when I pitched this idea to my brother and my sister was going through a divorce. So I think that felt, at first she was like, I can't do that. She was out of shape. The idea of doing something so big like that, when you're untrained, it's amazing what the body is capable of. Once you just start walking, you're like, wow, actually, this feels pretty good, right? But I think for her, there was something in accomplishing something like that she knew would make her feel strong and empowered, and a level of like self-efficacy that she wasn't feeling that would help her kind of move through the healing and grief process of her divorce. My mother, we pitched her on the idea, and she was literally like, this woman hadn't walked more than like to the fridge or to the car in several years. She's golfing more now, which is good. So she's getting her steps in. But at first she was really not into it. And then I reminded her, like, this was your dream. Don't you remember that? This is the thing that you wanted to do. Let's do it together. And then she was like, okay, I'll do it. And my brother was just like along for the ride, you know? And he was like, oh, this is a free vacation, free beer, get away from being a boat captain for a month. Like he was just kind of the balloon floating in the sky. So I think for him, he's always kind of been the buffer between all of us, the peacemaker. That was his role in the family. And so I think he was almost innately like, uh-oh, I kind of got to go to buffer it too.
There were hangups and concerns, but at the end of the day, each of Lauren's family members agreed to the adventure. The Camino de Santiago is a network of ancient pilgrimage routes that run across Spain, France, and Portugal. There are many different ways to walk it. Some people spend just a few days on the trail, while others take weeks and even months. Ultimately, every route ends up at a cathedral in a city called Santiago de Compostela. Lauren and her family chose to walk one of the most difficult mountainous routes called the Camino del Norte, which begins in the city of San Sebastian in Spain. They also decided that because she wasn't in the best shape, their mom would meet them halfway through the trek. In April 2023, Lauren and her siblings flew to San Sebastian to prepare.
So we arrive in San Sebastian. We have a few days to kind of work off the jet lag. But day 2, I have this idea. I'm like, let's go get our Camino legs on, right? Let's just try to like walk off the jet lag a little, and it's going to help us sleep better. It's, will help regulate our nervous systems and help hopefully kind of re-regulate our circadian rhythm. So we go walk down it's a whole cobblestone road. We walk all the way into San Sebastian. We go to the old church. We're going up all the way at the top of this mountain. Like we did a big hike, and this was just supposed to be like a little stroll down the road. And so on the way back, I see these signs, which are clearly X's, like don't go here. But I didn't want to go back the way that we came. And the way that we came was on this kind of winding highway. And so it was really loud. And so I was like, okay, I can see that there's a path right here. And maybe if we take this path, we can find a different route back to the hotel. My sister is losing her mind. She is like, we are supposed to be resting right now. We have to walk 500 miles. Like, what are we doing on this walk? I should be resting. And she's telling me and my brother, we're not going that way. But me and my brother were like, well, we're going that way. You could go whatever way you want, but we're going to go that way. And so she actually ends up, she's screaming at us from behind because she can also see that the ex is saying, don't go this way, which is very typical eldest child, right? She's safer. She wants things to be predictable. So she's screaming at us. She's very upset. We walk her along the edge of this cliff and it's a little sketchy. And she is like, I can see she's a ways behind us, like, and she's just pouting. Like I can hear her kind of huffing and puffing back there. And all of a sudden, I hear my brother from around the corner and he's like, oh my God, waterfall. And my sister, all of a sudden in 30 seconds, her whole vibe changes, right? And she's like, what? And Danny goes, yeah, waterfall, like private secret beach, waterfall. And all of a sudden her vibe just, she just jets around the edge of the cliff. And here we are, we're on this like secret, beautiful private beach with a waterfall hitting the sand. I mean, it was just so beautiful. And so we went from like, there's about to be a meltdown. Like at any moment, we are all kind of going back into our first child, second child, third child patterns in our sibling rivalry to now all of a sudden we are on the most beautiful beach and there is a waterfall coming down into the sand and just trickling down into the water. And we can like so explicitly see a path that wanders back up to the brick road that goes back to the hotel. And if we hadn't gone the other way, if we hadn't gone the kind of less traveled path, we would have never had that experience, which was actually the first experience on the Camino where we kind of bonded as a team. Like all of a sudden, we are in the same place. It's so beautiful. And we were so happy and we were like high-fiving, like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And that was so cool for us because we've just had so many experiences that end bad that we have a loop. Like our bodies actually believe and our psychology actually believes that it's always going to turn out how it turned out before. And now all of a sudden, we have a new story. And we are all on the same page as we are walking back up the hill, back to the hotel on day one.
The day after that waterfall hike, Lauren and her siblings set out on their 535-mile journey. The interesting thing about the Camino is that it passes through all these little Spanish towns with simple hostels called albergues, which cater to thru hikers and pilgrims. Because they were staying in these towns, Lauren and her siblings carried backpacks with clothes and water, but they didn't need to bring sleeping bags, tents, or food. How many miles are you hiking a day?
16 to 24 miles every single day. And yes, it's a lot.
And what are you eating?
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about through hiking is you kind of never know when your next meal is coming. And so we're eating everything. We are eating everything and anything. We're eating a lot of jamon and cheese sandwiches from like the little, citterias on the side of the little cafes. Lots of coffee, lots of tea, lots of granola bars, the best chocolate croissant that you've ever had, pain au chocolat. It was literally the best we'd ever had in our entire life. We're just eating all things. We're eating seafood, but literally all of us were like disgustingly full every single day. And that's also one of the things that is pretty well known about the Camino de Santiago. Like at some point it was also like a wine trail. You're drinking wine and you're eating. It's like, and you're doing this with other people. So there's a level of communing.
There's this element of safety on this pilgrimage because there's hotels, there's cafes, there's coffee shops, there's all sorts of things on the way. Okay, so you guys are doing some really big mileage. It's impressive. And then every night you're staying in like a hotel or a hostel or a church or somewhere.
Yes, different places. There's all sorts of places along the trail and for kind of everyone's comfort level, right? There's hotels, there are monasteries, there are churches, there are albergues. We're staying at all of them. The kind of main thing, and you'll hear a lot of people on the Camino talk about this, which I don't necessarily believe this to be true, but whatever, everyone can say whatever they want, but that the albergue is the pilgrim experience. Like the albergue is a big dorm style room essentially, and there's 25, 30, 40 beds in a room, and you have a big community meal. And that's part of the experience of the Camino and the albergue is you get there, there's a very long table. There are, multiple long tables. So like everyone's breaking bread, which is like, again, a tale as old as time of like how we commune with one another. And there's always wine on the table. So there's always food, there's always wine. And then it's different scenarios. Like some of them are old churches that have been turned into albergues. Some of them are old homes that have been turned into albergues. Most of them are dorm style though. And you really get to meet a lot of people doing that, but also it's so uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. It's like you have all these people in a space and people smell and they have different sleep circadian rhythms and, people fart. You're not sleeping. So there's like a level of irritableness and grump that comes along with this journey as well because you're not comfortable, but like there's something about doing that with my family that, I think made it more comfortable for us, but also made it so funny. Like it just created so many scenarios where we're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're in this scenario again. And again, it's novelty, but they're funny situations. And it's just creating these outlets for us to kind of relate and laugh hysterically, which is totally different than our historical narrative.
We talk a lot on this show about the training and gear you need to go after a wild idea. With the REI Co-op MasterCard, everyday purchases can support your wild ideas and turn them into limitless possibilities. Trail miles, summit views, and that family camping trip you plan to take this summer. Here's how it works. Card members earn 5% in card rewards on every purchase at REI and 1.5% on everything else. Groceries, gas, your morning coffee, it all adds up. And the best part, you can redeem card rewards as soon as you earn them. That means grabbing those new trail runners you've been eyeing and keeping more cash in your pocket. It's quick and easy to see if you're pre-approved. To learn more about the REI Co-op MasterCard program, go to rei.com/MasterCard-podcast. That's rei.com/MasterCard-podcast. Terms apply. If you spend a lot of time in the ocean, surfing, swimming, or just sitting and watching the waves, you probably want to protect it as much as I do. That's why I want to tell you about Ocean Bottle. Ocean Bottle is made for people who care about the ocean, about good design, and about leaving things better than we found them. Every bottle they sell funds the removal of 1,000 plastic bottles before they hit the ocean. That work is part of a mission to stop 10 billion plastic bottles from polluting our oceans by 2030. If you're looking for a simple way to make an impact, Ocean Bottle recently launched their Peak range. It's slimmer, stronger, 100% leak-proof, and designed to keep your drinks at the right temperature longer. Check out Ocean Bottle at your local REI or at rei.com. You know that feeling when the trail turns a corner and boom, in front of you is a massive mountain or jaw-dropping canyon vista. Now imagine that view is in Peru, Alaska, or Morocco. REI Co-op is teaming up with the globe-trotting experts at Intrepid Travel to bring you a curated mix of global and domestic trips that are outside the ordinary, with bucket list destinations, small groups, and local leaders who actually know the place you're exploring. The best news is that members save more with exclusive member pricing. Starting March 15th through the end of April, REI Co-op members get an additional $100 off all REI and Intrepid trips over $1,000. And that's on top of existing member travel benefits. The only question is, where will you go? Explore the REI and Intrepid travel collections at rei.com/travel. That's rei.com/travel. Terms apply. In 2023, Lauren Duke and her brother and sister set out to walk 535 miles across Spain on the Camino de Santiago. For the first couple of weeks, it was just the three of them, learning how to navigate long days, sore feet, and the occasional disagreement. But 2 weeks in, their mom joined the hike, and suddenly, the family dynamic shifted. So you guys get about halfway together before your mom joins you. Is that correct?
Yes. The second my mom joined us, it was reversion to all childhood patterns and behaviors. Like at this point, we're in a town called Navia.
And how many days have you been hiking by this point?
We're over 2 weeks in. So we've gone hundreds of miles at this point.
This is so interesting. Okay, so finally, you guys have been doing this for a couple weeks. You meet up with your mother. You guys go back to all of your childhood terrible habits. But then what happens? Like, talk to me about it. Is there a shift at some point?
Yeah, there is. Mom shows up at the hotel and we're having dinner. And me, my sister, and my brother doing our normal banter. And we're kind of making jokes how walking this pilgrimage or this long journey is how we're like working out our childhood trauma. And then all of a sudden, my mom just loses it and snaps. And she's like, what is all this talk about trauma? You guys don't have any trauma. And it was just like record screech, just like, just, I think to all of us, it becomes very clear that, like there's tension. And where we were kind of talking honestly about everything, our mom isn't really on the same program and narrative as we are. So that was the first night in the hotel where it just became very clear, like, oh no, this is going to be a very different trip after she got there.
So then how do you guys keep going?
The next day we start in Luarca and we start kind of walking up this kind of winding road through this big kind of, it was like a cow pasture, right? And it was pretty steep. And my mom was making us stop a lot. And again, we were kind of, my brother just took off. Like he was so annoyed. And my sister and I were walking with our mom and we just keep looking at each other like, oh no, we have this thought like maybe she's not going to make it, right? And so we're being like overly cautious. And I think this is the moment where I really, really start to see my mom's humanness. And majorly where the roles reversed, where we are not our mother's daughters. We are now parenting my mother. Like we need to come together and take care of our mom and make sure she makes it through this. And the funny thing is, all of a sudden we got to the top of that hill and we had to cross a giant freeway at the top of the hill. And my brother is already up there. And before my mom was there, we were crossing highways and freeways left and right. And so here we are, we're at the top of this road and we're like looking at each other like, oh no, I don't think that we can cross this freeway with our mom. Like she's not even fast enough to do this. And we're not saying this in words. We're just looking at each other. And like, we've all known each other for so long that like, we know what that look means. It's like, how are we going to get our mom across this road? And next thing you know, my mom is like, you guys are treating me like a child. I have been doing this stuff longer than you guys have been alive. Like I have basically been getting myself through the muck since time immemorial. And she just like pulls on the straps of her bag and she just runs out across the road into traffic to the other side. I mean, it was like things escalated quickly and we just all looked at each other and we are just like little ducklings chasing our mom across the road. Whereas like 10 minutes ago, we're like afraid that our mom is fragile and she's going to die. And now all of a sudden she's on the other side of the road, right? And her confidence after that moment completely transformed.
Sometimes Lauren's family walked shoulder to shoulder for hours, and other times they drifted miles apart. This constant ebb and flow ended up being nice because it gave them intentional moments to reconnect as a family while still leaving plenty of room for solo time. Step by step, Lauren felt the family dynamic shifting in subtle ways. Finally, after 5 weeks on the road, the family approached the Compostela. The very last day, when you get to the very end, tell me where you go and what is that moment like?
So one thing I didn't mention is that the entire time, my mom is struggling with the worst blisters on her feet, and so is my sister. But my mom, her feet they were a monstrosity. They were pussy. They were liquid filled, they were swollen, they were bloody, and we were grooming and nursing and bandaging my mom's feet every single day. And there's actually lots of research about how long distance treks like this, there's a level of social grooming that creates so much bonding, like social grooming that you don't normally do in life. And so here we are, we're like bandaging my mom's feet every single day and, you know, taking care of my mom. And she makes it to the finish line. She gets all the way to the Compostela, even though her feet are annihilated, just like bloody, really. So we make it into Old Town Santiago and we walk into Old Town, which is just so beautiful. It's just these like narrow cobblestone roads, and there's all these people who've already made it. Like you can see the like elation and joy on people's faces. And there's just all these pilgrims kind of sitting around and drinking beer and celebrating. And you can hear the accordion music in the distance.
Amazing.
So it was just like a cacophony of sights and sounds and smells. And we get all the way into the square where the cathedral is. And we're just expecting something magical. Like, here it is. It's the end, and it's going to be the most magical, mystical, and transformative place we've ever been. Dun, dun, dun. It's just all under construction. Like, all of it is under construction. It's under, just there's tarps everywhere. There's drilling going. It's just not the scene that we imagined. And none of us really know what to do. Like, it's this experience where we're all kind of looking at each other like, well, what now? And me and my sister, we're like, well, we have to go inside the cathedral. There's going to be a mass at 4 p.m. Like, we at least need to like go in and see what's going on. And my mom was like, no, my feet hurt. And my brother was like, yeah, I want to have a beer. Like, I'm just tired. Let's just go to the hotel. And so here we are. We're kind of in this push and pull. And my sister and I were just like, okay. And we just leave. But the interesting thing is, on the way back to the hotel, I'm just replaying the last month in my head of like all of these experiences that I just got to have with my sister and my brother and my mother and our family, and this new relationship that we had, actually, because now we're seeing it. All of us are kind of looking at each other differently. We have like a different ending. And I just kind of have this realization, like, who cares? The whole thing illuminated my life and my relationship with these people and the relationship I wanted to have with these people. And it was never about making it to the cathedral. It was about being on that journey together and creating a new story together. So I kind of let go of the big ending moment and realized it wasn't about the ending. It was about the journey. As cliche as that sounds, it is so true. I mean, of course, there's still a part of me that wants to go back and have the like big peak experience, but that wasn't what the universe had in store for us. The universe had a 40-day Lentish pilgrimage where I got to completely transform my relationship with people that I have historically had a really tumultuous relationship with. Like, that was the peak experience, transforming our family.
Walking the Camino helped Lauren and her family move through tension and break out of their usual patterns. When they were on the trail, pointless little conflicts that previously would have led to full-blown fights carried less weight. Today, Lauren and her family still have occasional conflict, but they rewrote their story on the trail. In fact, they even took home a permanent reminder of their growth as a family.
So after Santiago, we're in a rental car and we're driving to Madrid because we're going to spend a few days in Madrid, decompress, and then we're going to fly back to the United States. And while we're driving, I just have this wild idea that we should get a Camino tattoo. Like, I just pitch it to the car and my brother's like, yeah, my sister loves tattoos. And my mom's like, I'm not getting a tattoo. And immediately goes into this very rigid, contracted space. Like, her generation doesn't get tattoos. Like, why would I ever get a tattoo? And I say to my mom, it's not about anyone else. It's this tiny little talisman that every single time you look down at it, you remember what you just did with your children. And you remember how empowering this experience is. And all of a sudden, just that right there, I could just see her like face lit up and her mind just changed. And she goes, Okay, vale. And it was like, oh, I guess that's our tattoo. What it means is you roll with the punches. And that's what we're going to do now as a family. Like, you never know what's going to happen, but we're going to get through it together.
So you all have Vale tattooed on your arm?
We all have the tattoo.
How would you invite someone to go on a walk that you have a difficult relationship with?
Gosh. Well, I think I would ask them if they want to go on a walk, but I think the other thing that's really important is you ask them if they want to go have some fun, because we need to do more things that are fun together. Like, walking is therapy. It's our original therapy. It's how we got up and developed our brains, and it is the original medicine. But I also think maybe some people think it's boring. And so I think that the integration of the fun piece and the joy piece is, and that's why the Camino is so fun. It's like you're meeting people, and it includes eating and drinking and music. And like, you just never know what you're going to get into. It's not just about, do you want to go on a walk? It's about, do you want to go have a wild adventure?
Lauren and her siblings decided to continue their tradition of taking long walks together. This last July of 2025, they did the Tour de Mont Blanc. And to promote her upcoming book about their trek titled This Walk Will Change You, Lauren and her family are going back to hike a different route along the Camino. If you want to keep up with Lauren, you can follow her on Instagram at Lauren Dolly Duke. That's LaurendollieDuke. Wild Ideas Worth Living is part of the REI Podcast Network. It's hosted by me, Shelby Stanger, produced by Annie Fassler, Sylvia Thomas, and Sam Piers-Nitzberg of Puddle Creative. Our senior producer is Jenny Barber. Our executive producers are Paolo Motola and Joe Crosby. Thanks again to our partner, Capital One and the REI Co-op MasterCard. As always, we love it when you follow the show, take time to rate it, and write a review wherever you listen. And remember, some of the best adventures happen when you follow your wildest ideas.